Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today I'm essentially doing a dealer's choice donation deck list from Hyperlink, with the caveat that I wanted to play with unlicensed Hearse, and so I found an unlicensed Hearse deck. So this is a card that has started seeing more and more Legacy play, and I expect we will see an uptick on this as time goes on. So this is a 2-mana graveyard hate card, kind of. All right. So you can tap to exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. And then this is a vehicle with crew 2. In case you're not used to vehicles, you can tap creatures with total power 2 or greater in order to crew this thing and turn it into a creature. And as a creature, its power and toughness will be equal to the number of cards exiled with it. So, if you go and, just kind of tap this thing back and forth for a couple of turns, you could end up with a Murktide Regent-sized threat that you can play off of one soul land. That's pretty interesting. And speaking of Murktide Regent, the ability to just, keep chipping away at an opposing graveyard is going to make it so that creatures like Murktide Regent are harder to get in play, and so that creatures like Dragon Rage Channeler or maybe a Tarmogoyf aren't necessarily going to do their thing. Now, the other card that is seeing play alongside of this is Fable of the Mirror Breaker. So, this is a saga, and on the first stage, you get a 2/2 creature that, when it attacks, you get a treasure token. Then on stage 2, you can discard up to 2 cards. If you do, you get to draw that many. And on the third stage, you get a 2/2 pseudo Kiki Jiki. It's not quite Kiki Jiki, it's a reflection. So it's 1 and tap to create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste, and you sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Now, as fate would have it, in this deck, we have a handful of creatures that might be very, very powerful if you were to copy them. And a lot of times getting another hasty Goblin Rabblemaster, for example, might allow you to swing out for lethal. Or at the very least, you'll create another Goblin token that probably hangs around for another turn. Otherwise, the rest of the shell here is the primary red prison shell. And this deck has been on the uptick. It's kind of a meta call again. The Blood Moon effects are relatively powerful versus Urza Saga decks, and I kind of lost faith in this deck for a while. And this is one of my favorite decks to play, and it seems like it's on the uptick again, and tournament results are looking very promising. I'm excited to play this. One quick note here, the mana base is not as many mountains as you might be used to seeing in this deck list. This deck is really trying to push the value it can get out of its lands with a bunch of copies of Den of the Bugbear, Shatter's Skull, the Hammer Pass, which sometimes has a front side that can kill some creatures, as well as one, how do I pronounce this? So Kenzan, Crucible of Defiance, which can make two 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens with haste. And this token legendary? No, it is not legendary. So we're probably not reducing its cost in this deck. As far as the sideboard goes, it's a lot of normal red prison-y stuff. I do want to point out that this deck is playing a split of Fairy and Leyline of the Void, which feels weird to me. I think the rationale is, with unlicensed Hearse as a major threat in the deck, you might not necessarily want to be running a playset of Leyline of the Void, but you still want more graveyard hate effects. In my experience, just jamming leagues, I've tend to found that Leyline often outperforms Fairy, but having a split, and especially a split that also includes some main deck graveyard hate, is probably going to produce a pretty good result. With that said, let's go ahead and hop on directly into this league. Actually, I'm going to check the date here. So this is pretty close to the point where I'm going full-time content creator over the summer. Next week, I'll kind of formally do a little wrap-up about that. But anyway, let's just jump into the league. Consider throwing me a like before we get started. It helps out a lot. Let's battle. All right, I will probably keep this opening hand. This opening hand is going to be a little bit soft to a wasteland, but we're going to have a pretty good 1-2 punch one way or another. The biggest thing I'm going to have to decide with this opening hand is whether or not I play Chalice of the Void on 0 in addition to playing 1 on 1. My opponent has mulligan to 5, which kind of makes me think they're up to no good. I will shut off a Chrome Mox as a draw if I do play a Chalice of the Void on 0. Which isn't great, because I would love to put Sumian Spirit Guide under a Chrome Mox. Let's start here and see if my opponent reacts. Alright, here's the Chalice on 1. It has resolved, so I will shut off exactly 4 cards in my deck, and either a lot or 0 cards in my opponent's deck. Let's go ahead and do this. If it's a bad play, it's not that bad of a play, right? Like, because my opponent has already gone down 2 cards in their mulligan. So, like, if I give up a card... Okay. Alright, so we potentially shut off my opponent's Chrome Mox, and, but this is not exactly where I want to be. I wish I had more permanent mana here. This is just going to be Legion Warboss, I think. I think it is just time to clock and then hope that I draw a red source. Alright, mirror round 1. Let's go. Crash in there. Opponent's at 19. So we're essentially fighting on an even playing field, though, because my opponent mulliganed twice, but I played 2 Chalice of the Voids, which is, like, very much not where I want to be in this matchup. So I guess I have kind of the advantage in that my Legion Warboss is getting to attack first, which is good for me, but... okay. This is awkward. I'm probably going to lose this one. Alright, let's try to get some cards into graveyards. Yield to this. Send on in there. I'll mentor on one of these tokens to give it a +1/+1 counter, and I'll see if my opponent wants to trade. They do not want to trade, they're just going to take the damage. Alright. I think it's worth it, pay the life here to drop this into play. I also think I am going to cast a Chalice of the Void for 0, counter it with my own Chalice of the Void so that I can eat it with unlicensed Hearse. Sort of a weird line, but I don't really expect Chalice of the Void to have any more relevant text in this matchup. Alright, so opponent has another Legion Warboss. I'm gonna go ahead and eat my Chalice now. And then my opponent can crash in, hit me for a little bit, and my opponent is absolutely favored here, I think. They get to mentor onto a token, and I'll end up taking 5 here, going to 9. And my opponent can block if they so desire. Life's bad. Yeah, I didn't draw another land. I think I'm forced onto the defensive and trying to draw to Fury as an out. But, you know, if I swing out here, I'm not representing lethal, and my opponent can kill me on the backswing. I'll get my token. My token is forced to attack. I'm just going to deal with that. Opponent will take their free block here. Yep, and absolutely getting punished for my keep without a permanent red source. Well, that and drawing triple Chalice of the Void. Like, that didn't help in this matchup, whereas in a lot of other matchups, that would have been very pivotal. Alright. Life's awful. I'm very close to dead. I might actually realistically not have outs here, due to Ancient Tomb being my land. I didn't actually map that out yet. So I block both of these. Yeah, I think I take enough damage that I can't really tap Ancient Tomb anymore. Yep. Let's show myself the door. Alright. Next game. So Chalices are not great. Chronospheres are not really great. Blood Moons aren't really great either. How much stuff do I actually have to bring in? This is removal. This is direct damage / removal. This is a card with power and toughness, and then I can play 2 other cards here. Torpor Orb technically has text. Not great. A lot of these things technically have text, but they're just not great. I think I'm going to play 2 Trinospheres on the play. Alright, let's try to find a reasonable opening hand here. How reasonable is this? So, Chrome Mox, Imprint Spirit Guide, City of Traders, Warboss, or Trinisphere on turn 1. My opponent has lost connection to the game. I guess I've got time to think about it. Would I Trinisphere on 1? I think I'm going to keep the hand. I'm not sure whether or not I'm supposed to Trinisphere. Like, very bad if my opponent just, like, plays Ancient Tomb Spirit Guide, idiot. Like, I think my plan is largely play Legion War Boss, dead my opponent's first threat, and go from there. Alright, so my opponent took 1 mulligan. So let's kind of do what I talked about. Chrome Box, Imprint Spirit Guide, City, and drop the War Boss. I'll get in for 1 point of damage this turn, and it'll kind of ramp up every turn from here. It's respectable. Like, Rabble Master is the better clock, but like, it's a difference of a turn. It's not that big of a deal, one versus the other. And here's the hoping my opponent does not have exactly dead. You just kill my Legion War Boss on my turn. Fiery Confluence, not exactly a great draw. Let's, I guess, go to combat. They do. Okay. That is what it is. Opponent messed up in terms of timing. There was... Well, no, they didn't. Triggers at the beginning of combat. It would have given me another chance to play a Rabble Master type card, but I would have just jammed that anyway. And now I will play the Trinisphere, which I'm not, like, super happy about, because, like, my opponent can potentially break serve here by just going soul land into creature. Yeah. Yep. So now we kind of end up in similar positions, but I've used a card and a turn to play Trinisphere rather than deploying another threat. Not super happy about things here. All right, so what is my game plan? I can just kill the Legion War Boss with dead, or I can start working towards Fable of the Mirror Breaker. There's a lot of worlds where I Fiery Confluence the board, but that might involve me losing this land with a Trinisphere in play, and I'm not super happy with that. I think I'm just gonna dead this and all that good. Guess I miss a point of damage if I don't wait. All right, so let's swing that and dead that creature. I don't think I want to trade here, because there's worlds where I want to have a couple of 1/1 tokens to crew the Hearse. The Hearse will probably end up being pretty large. I'm just, like, not quite there in terms of activating it yet. You have for 4. Chandra Awakened Inferno isn't super popular, right? Or not Awakened Inferno. Torch of Defiance isn't super popular right now. Ooh, Fiery Confluence just nuking my Chrome Mox there is pretty devastating. It's going to leave me trapped under my own Trinisphere. That's probably a game-winning line. Yeah. So I will bash in for 1, but then I can't play my unlicensed Hearse due to Trinisphere. I think my opponent just runs away with this one. Kind of lost, to the Abrade on my mana source, essentially. Just kind of got stuck. All right. That's just animating the Den of the Bugbear. A little surprised that's their best line. Like, they still have 3 cards in hand, but, 4 board. It is probably good enough here. I think Stone Cold dead if I don't draw a mana source here. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and concede. The game isn't, like, over in terms of, like, I literally die this turn, but I can't come back from this. All right, round 2 opening hand has 2 lands here, but I really need to have 3 mana in the opening hand to make most hands functional here, and I don't think a turn 2 Chalice of the Void is really what I want to be doing when I'm on the play. This is fine. I will keep this. I think I'm going to throw back the second Fable of the Mirror Breaker and keep an extra red land in case I get wastelanded on turn 1. My plan here to pay the tapped red land, no make mana this turn. All right, we've covered that. Yeah. So now I will, like, just play War Boss into War Boss as my primary game plan, and hope that's good enough to beat whatever my opponent is doing. Could be playing against elves or another Elvish Reclaimer deck of some kind. It is elves. In which case, the second Shatters... excuse me. That is Allosaurus Rider, not Allosaurus Shepherd. Excuse me? So I think Bryant has been fucking around with some sort of like Neoform type deck. So that's kind of what I'm guessing is going on over there. I think I try to get a free one here. I don't know exactly what that deck looks like, but Blood Moon says fuck you in a lot of different languages. And we're going to see how this fares. One card combo kill. Oh, there's some mana. Okay, looks like that's enough for this turn. Oh no. Okay, that is going to be it. So I can play the back side of this, which just enters as a mountain due to the Blood Moon, and then we can start getting saucy. I think this is just play Legion Warboss into Legion Warboss and Goldfish as quickly as possible. I don't think I need to mess around with the value generated from this card. Um, I don't really know what I need to dig for. Like, I don't actually know what my opponent's deck list looks like. I haven't basically had any time to consume any Magic media. I am in the, like, final week of school for me. Well, technically there's a week and a half left, but it's like final exam, end of year testing, all that stuff. So it's busy. All right. Did you find something cool? It is just a once upon a time pitching a spirit guide. So my opponent does have at least 8 mana sources under Blood Moon. Okay, there is an Allosaurus Shepherd and an Allosaurus Rider in the deck. Noted. All right. Land, War Boss, turn cards sideways, make one bigger. So we got, what, 6 damage this turn, and presumably lethal next turn. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. No, 13. Okay, I've gotten a concession. I have no idea what my opponent's deck looks like. I think I need to do a little research. Okay, Bryant was messing around with Neoform in Modern. Looks like the goal is produce fast Grizzlebrand in the Modern version. Um, I assume the general game plan will be roughly the same. The moon effects felt very good. I probably want more of those. I assume Fury is not going to be fantastic. Sphere is probably good. Do I want like a Dead Gone or any blasts or anything? Fiery Confluence is also just not crazy to close out the game. I probably put Chalice on 1 given the chance to. Sort this. I get to bring in one more card as of right now, and I can potentially board out an unlicensed Hearse pretty comfortably. So if I wanted to, I could bring in 2 blasts for the times that I don't have Chalice and do something like this. That's potentially okay. And then I can kind of make some adjustments depending on what I see. Like, I guess I can also think about Dead Gone. Turn 1 Moon. Question mark, question mark, question mark. I'll probably keep this hand. Becomes real sick if I draw a Soul Land. The reason why is that I can go Soul Land, Spirit Guide, Blood Moon, and have like my build your own Force of Will available. All right, so I will keep this. It doesn't quite have the swift clock that I would like, but I have a decent number of cards that are just clocks. All right, Land Grant. Rasta. Okay, 3 less for each other spell cast this turn. Tramples over Planeswalkers. Sure. Okay, opponent has a Force of Vigor for a Blood Moon. You know what? Force of Vigor does not answer. My boy! Yeah, you can ponder. I'm not, like, Spirit Guide, Pyroblast, a ponder. That is absolutely not the life that I am living. Now, this ponder could find Force of Will to pair with the Brainstorm. But if they do that, they're, not really looking good in terms of prospects for actually winning the game. Alright. Mountain. Magus. Off double Spirit Guide. Did you find Force of Will? You did not find Force of Will. It's not like this game is instantly over, but I should be a huge, huge favorite to win. Okay, yep, that's just their turn. Shatter Skull Smashing is a fine land in most cases. Let's go ahead and crash in with a Magus for my 2 points of damage. Drops opponent to 18. I can't really do anything super profitable with this turn. Like, I can play Unlicensed Hearse into Force of Vigor. That's kind of whatever. I think I'm going to do it, though. Like, if opponent wants to use resources to take that thing off the board, I think I'm okay with that. All right, add end step here. I'm going to go ahead and junk their 2 cards from graveyard. We'll see if I end up... it's a Grizzlebrand. Anyway, finishing the thought there, we'll see if I end up drawing something else that I can just go and brew this with. All right. Opponent's at 16. I'm not playing Blood Moon into Force of Vigor. Just kind of play a slow game where... Ooh, that's real mana for them. What are you imprinting? Printing a Neoform. Yeah, you can have your Brainstorm. I intend on leaving up Pyroblast form Neoform for most of the rest of this game. If not all of the rest of this game. Wouldn't mind drawing Fiery Confluence to kill that. Is that in my deck? I know. No, those aren't in my deck. I can consider it for the next game now that I know that they have Chrome Mox. Okay, seems like that's it for them. And I'll take out those 2 cards at end step. Just, good habits. A Chalice of the Void. I do not know on which number to cast that. Play the backside of this. Or if I cast it at all, for that matter. I'll crash in for my 2. Put my opponent to 14. And I think I chill. Like, playing Chalice on 1 is really awkward because I have this Pyroblast. I don't really want to give my opponent 2 cards worth of value if I don't have to. With their Force of Vigor. It's possible that I should have attacked with Unlicensed Hearse, trying to get in 4 points of damage. And just, like, trying to force the Force of Vigor. Alright, there is a Summoner's Pact. There is the Allosaurus Rider. Pitching Force of Vigor. Absolutely. Then my opponent is presumably going to cast a Neoform. There's the blue. We'll counter target spell if it is blue. Goodbye, Neoform. And that is good enough to get the concession. So from there, once I know the Force of Vigor is gone, I can start actually hitting in with this and play with some of these other cards as well. Cool deck idea, though. Like, have not seen Thrasta in Legacy in a hot minute. Alright, round 3 opening hand is fine. I'm on the draw. I can't do anything on turn 1 unless I draw a Spirit Guide or a Chrome Mox. But I have pretty good plays for most of the rest of the game. I think I'm going to keep this. Like, it's got 3 lands, so it's not the end of the world if I get Wastelanded, which I quite like. Ooh, are we playing against Delver? We're potentially playing against Delver. And that is a shuffle. Yeah, that pretty much confirms Dragon Rage Channeler right there. I don't really want my opponent to have Wasteland, I think. Another Fury. I think I'm going to play this tapped here. Like, this is a real Magic the Gathering card in this matchup. Like, the front side of this does matter. But I think I need to just, like, prepare to be Wastelanded in a lot of worlds. Yeah. Alright, this is what I don't want to happen. There's 3 card types in Graveyard. I think I just chill and see if I can try to eat 2 creatures with Fury next turn. Like, there's worlds where it's fine to just take this out here to decrease the chances of a Murktide Regent getting into play. Really don't like my situation. I'm going to instantly lose the game to another Wasteland, and Force of Will effects are going to be very good against my hand. Alright. Still 3 card types in Graveyard. No instant in there yet, though. The opponent could just do something like Lightning Bolt me or Brainstorm to kind of grow things out of control. I think my Unlicensed Hearse is just going to be a little slow on the draw here. Like, especially if I have to play out City of Traders in order to do that. That's just, like, super awkward. Yeah, that has to attack. I go down to 17. Okay. So I've got options. I think if I don't play Unlicensed Hearse this turn, I can just never beat Murktide Regent. so the real question is, how am I playing the rest of the turn? So I can play City of Traders, but doing so will mean I'm just, like, if I do so, I'm automatically dead to Wasteland, right? My opponent, like, Wastelands my Den of the Bugbear, and I can never come back from that. I probably have to play Mountain and play Unlicensed Hearse. Do I use Fury as a bait spell first? If my opponent Force of Wills a Fury, very good for me. But if my Hearse resolves, I don't really care about that creature that's in play anymore, which is awkward. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Prior to making the land drop, I'm just going to kind of go for this thing. See what my opponent has to say about it. It has resolved. And let's nuke that creature. And then I'll lose the Fury. I think I have to go for the Hearse. I don't like it. I can also go for the Blood Moon and just try to keep my opponent from casting it that way. But, better. I just kind of think my opponent has a Force, and it's irrelevant either way. I guess if it's irrelevant either way, I should play the one that wins the game harder, which is Blood Moon. So bad versus Wasteland, though. I don't know. If my opponent has Force and Murktide Region, I'm kind of fucked anyway. Let's try to steal this one. Oh, there is a Daze. Daze would have eaten Unlicensed Hearse off of Mountain anyway, which otherwise would have been my play. Ooh, okay. Not immediate Murktide Regent. In which case, Unlicensed Hearse around Daze is actually pretty good in this situation. Okay, cool. Let's start here. I don't think I can take a turn off to Trinisphere. Again, I'm just so fucking terrified of Murktide Regent coming down. Okay. Force pitching Daze. I can play Chalice of the Void and turn this game into Murktide Regent or bust. But then I can't play a follow-up threat immediately. I already lose to Murktide Regent, right? I think I already lose to Murktide Regent. Let's try to win the game in the scenarios where my opponent does not have Murktide Regent. Chalice on 1. Okay, it's resolved. So now we've got to dodge Murktide Regent. And I'm not really good at answering that card. Okay. That finds Murktide Regent. God, that card is so good. Finding a Misty. Sure. Okay. This is not bad, but, you know, non-basic lands have real costs in Legacy, and this being a mountain would have allowed me to do a very strong play this turn. This is what you get for the avarice. If my opponent finds Murktide. Nope. Okay, they found another expressive iteration, so that's 3 more looks at 1, which isn't good for me. I guess I can also just find a Blood Moon effect and try to win the game that way, depending on what opponent's basic land situation looks like. All right, there's a Bobble. Opponent has cast 3 cantripping things through my Chalice of the Void, which is kind of wild. All right, they're just grabbing a tapped Steam Vents. Absolutely devastating. Get a redraw. Okay. So I do this. And now, is it Clock'em or Trinisphere? I think it's Trinisphere. Trinisphere shuts off, like, Daze, Force of Will, Force of Negation as things that, yeah. As things that would, like, stop a follow-up Blood Moon. All right, that's a Mystic Sanctuary that can put an expressive iteration back on top of the deck. All right, yeah, this is what I want here, right? Like, this stops a Murktide Regent from hitting play if it resolves. Hell yeah. My opponent is probably on close to no outs at this point. They're probably playing for information more so than anything else here now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so notably, opponent did not fetch basic island off of Misty Rainforest when given the opportunity to do so. That potentially means that they don't have a basic land in their deck. All right, what do I want for this matchup? The Blood Moon effects look pretty good. I probably need Dead Gons for this matchup. Like, the Dead side can kill early opposing creatures. The Gone side can bounce Murktide Regent, which you're probably, like, tired of me saying this, but, like, Legacy games revolve around that card right now, where, like, opponent draws it, you lose. Opponent doesn't draw it, like, you have a game for a little while. So I probably need to board all of those in, and potentially also Red Elemental Blasts as well. On the draw, I absolutely do not want Trinispheres. And I potentially want to cut my Chalice of the Voids as well, because I'm about to bring in 5 1-drops. I think on the draw, I get rid of those and play these. This would be 61. Or this by mana value here. So I'll have Hearse, Double Blast, 3 Dead Gone to answer those cards. Then what don't I want? Like, do I go down 1 Magus because of Lightning Bolt? Like, Lightning Bolt being a real out to that card when I'm boarding out Chalice of the Void is a thing. I could also go down 1 Fury. I don't know, they're pretty cute in the early game at grabbing multiple creatures. I'd also go down 1 Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Like, this card is totally reasonable, but not necessarily a game ender on its own. There's also worlds where I consider Fiery Confluence as a sweeper. I don't know that that makes sense if I'm trying to do this Magus of the Moon free win plan some portion of the time. I probably need to play all of the Magus effects due to opposing Wasteland. All right. I like this hand. This hand has plenty of mana. It is going to be a keep. And I am potentially going to attempt a Blood Moon on turn 1 around a daze. Kind of depending on how the draw goes. Or I can just attempt Blood Moon 2 turns in a row. That's pretty reasonable too. Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, Spirit Guide under it, Blood Moon. Play the first one in a daze. Try to resolve the second one. That'll be better versus like a Force of Will. Alright. Chrome Mox. Imprint Guide. Attempt Moon. I assume opponent's hand just has to have a counter spell for them to keep it. Okay, yeah, there is Force of Will. Pitching Ledger Shredder. Multi-format All-Star. Been super impressed by that card. Yeah, and then I can just go like Mountain into Blood Moon on my own turn. It gets a little weird what I do if my opponent wastelands the Ancient Tomb. Yeah, okay. Well, we're living in that timeline. I'll take 1. Ooh, okay, it's not weird anymore. Next turn I attempt Blood Moon with Red Elemental Blast back up, so this will be Unlicensed Hearse this turn. Unfortunately not around days. Force Pitching Delver. Super aggressive. Alright, so I have a Red Elemental Blast to kill a Murktide Regent if one were to get into play this turn. Okay. Seems like that's potentially what's happening here. Yeah, that is a Murktide Regent. But opponent is going Hellbent in order to do so. So that means this just works. An opponent does have a basic island. Yep. So 2 mana, Blood Moon, 1 mana, Red Elemental Blast, destroy Murktide Regent. And now it's just the top deck game of who top decks better. My opponent probably has a 3/3 threat in play this turn. Because they just need an instant. Or no, they don't actually. They like whatever's on top. But yeah, they don't have any cards left because they went Hellbent in order to do their thing. Yeah, I probably top deck better than them from here. That's kind of unfortunate, right? That's a threat, kind of. I'll play it in case I get to attack with it because Blood Moon, eats a Brazen Borrower or something. But it's not happening immediately if it is happening. That's aggressive. It's probably my opponent's line. Yeah. Because it allows them to attack for 3. Yeah, you remember that thing where I said I probably top deck better from here? That was a lie. This will be a disappointing one to lose. Got a 4 here. Removal spell would be grand. Unlicensed Hearse probably doesn't do it for me here. It buys me time. Yeah, so I was going to be able to shrink that down and turn that into a 4-turn clock, but Lightning Bolt just means that I'm dead, unfortunately. All right, GG. Like, needed another turn or two to stabilize that one out. I hate that I can't actually see what that might have looked like. Okay, in the exact situation that I was in, I would have kind of enjoyed Fiery Confluence as a sweeper, but I don't really know if I want to try to make room for that. And do I want Chalice on the play when, like, this is a real portion of my game? Might want Chalice on the play. Like, Magus is fragile. Opponent has meltdowns though. Like they have meltdowns that they've shown me. That's tough. I don't know. Like turn one Magus dodges Force of Negation. That's very real. I don't know. Like I will feel very dumb if I play Chalice of the Void and then my opponent just plays Murktide Regent and I can't cast one of these cards for a win. Um, let's try this. Geez, these are awkward lands. Think I keep. This is like not taking advantage of the fact that I'm on the play well. This like turns on my opponent's dazes. I'll keep it. I'm like not happy about this, but I probably keep this. And I think since my opponent showed me Meltdown, I don't think I play the Chrome Mox out on turn 1. Alright, so this will just be Den pass, and then I can kind of reevaluate what I want to do on turn 2. And I'll probably 100% just dead gone a creature on my opponent's end step so that I can attempt to jam a reasonable card on my turn. I might lead on Warboss over Magus. Like, opponent did not fetch basic island there, which is weird to me. It may mean that they have it in hand already. All right, no shuffle. That's a moon. Let's start with the Chrome Mox. It has resolved. I think I'm just putting Legion Warboss under it. Play Den. I think I'll play the moon first. The moon is vulnerable to Force of Negation, but not vulnerable to Lightning Bolt. Force is fine. If opponent, okay, no immediate movement from the opponent. I'll attempt a Magus. It's much less good than Blood Moon because my opponent can just Lightning Bolt in response. All right, they've also got their basic island, but hopefully this keeps Murktide Regent out of play. So this card is potentially just on Murktide Regent duty this game, whereas this card, Shatterskull Smashing, is on cleanup small creature duty. The issue here is that like a Dead Gone doesn't kill a Murktide Regent; it just bounces it out of play. And now that I've drawn more mana sources, I like kind of wish that I had put the Shatterskull Smashing under my Chrome Mox instead, but that is what it is. This 4 to activate. That's a lot. I don't think I'm supposed to go all in on like a Den of the Bugbear, because I can Chrome Mox, Imprint Dead Gone, play this, pay 3, get 4 damage in this turn. That seems too aggressive to me. So the real question here is, do I play this tapped as a land? Because I do want to be activating this. Maybe. I can think about it for a very long time. I don't think I'm gonna like sit here and math out all the permutations of lines. I think I'm just gonna play that tapped. Okay, there goes my Den. I'll float the mana, I guess. All right, that's a Ledger Shredder, which doesn't get answered by Dead Gone, unfortunately. Not really, anyway. All right, so there's a new Den of the Bugbear. I've got the superior clock here if I start activating this, but Ledger Shredder can get big pretty quickly. Very awkwardly, 3 card types in graveyard. What's in here? So instant sorcery land is in here. Do I just need to dead this before it grows? Probably. All right. Let's kill that creature. All right, and we'll see what happens with Ledger Shredder. All right, they just junked a Steam Vents, so they don't actually get a counter. In case you're not familiar with this card, it connives, so you draw a card, discard a card. If you discard a non-land, you get a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Now I'm kind of in one of these, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't situations where if I kill this Ledger Shredder so that it doesn't get out of control, I'm soft to a Murktide Regent. But I probably need to kill this thing. Otherwise, like, it will dig my opponent towards expressive iterations and Murktide Regents and stuff that's going to beat me. I need a, like, moon effect to stop my opponent from jamming through stuff, or otherwise I need a Haymaker of my own that just can outclock this 3/2. Like, I'm not that worried about this clock as is, but another creature hitting play would be really bad here. Okay. Um, that's acceptable. It's not great. I'm just gonna take 6 in the air next turn. Like, I make a token, and my opponent just, like, does the obligatory block on it, unless they're playing around a dead, which it does not look like they are. And that'll be my turn here. I do wish I had access to Fiery Confluence on this board. Uh, the third Wasteland they've had. That is really preventing me from getting an on... Oh, interesting. I guess that's fine. Anyway, it's really preventing me from getting an onboard presence that matters. Do I attack with this? I probably attack with this. Like, I probably just, like, force the trade for the Delver because I'm more scared of my opponent attacking me for 6 in the air than anything else right now. Alright. Crash on in. See if my opponent will trade. Yeah, they do. It leaves me with the Goblin. The Goblin is whatever. But I am on the wrong side of this equation here, and I think my opponent's top decks are better than mine are. Because I need to top deck a threat, and my opponent can top deck removal spells or more threats. Disgusting. Yep. So I'll play my land. My opponent just, like, doesn't block if I attack with this Goblin token. I'm going to hold this back on the off chance that Delver doesn't flip, and I actually get to, like, save 1 point of damage, because 1 point of damage matters a lot when I am at 10, and my opponent is hitting for 3s. Alright, Delver. You flipping? Very bad for me if you do. Alright, opponent has a Ponder now. So I'm just dead next turn. I will take 6, go to 4. At any point in this game, I will lose to a Lightning Bolt or similar effect at this point. I don't really know how I get out of this situation. A lot of pure dumb luck, honestly. Running top decks while opponent misses, and it's real hard to miss while, like, you have this thing in play to help filter your draws. Okay, sure. That Hearse is too late here. Well, I guess I can cast it, right? So, like, I cast it, and I can technically use this to try and stay alive. I don't really see it happening. Or no, there's 3 creatures in graveyard. Um, sorcery, sorcery, sorcery. 2 instants. Okay. My opponent can attack with both of these. Then I can go Force of Will, Lightning Bolt out of graveyard. Turn that into a 1/1 and go for the block here. Petty Theft. Okay. Yeah, that is exactly 4 damage, and I will die. GG's. I could have boarded differently for this matchup, just throwing out ideas. I could have boarded 2 ley lines in and, like, 3 fiery confluences in. Try to play a more controlling role. I was trying to leave in some number of, like, free wins and just, like, a decent threat density. Because, like, if I were to board out, like, 2 Magus and 4 Fables, I would be really low in terms of, like, number of cards that actually finish the game. So I was trying to preserve that, especially since, like, Den of the Bugbear is trying to count as a threat, and I'm trying to win games via Blood Moon. So, like, there's options for how you can approach that matchup. But, like, with opponent having Ledger Shredders and Murktides and Expressive Iterations and Baubles and Brazen Borrowers that all dodge Chalice, I felt kind of like in an awkward place with this build. Round 4, I've got a respectable opening hand. I'll keep this one, and we'll kind of have some different ways we can play this depending on what my opponent is doing. It probably involves Ancient Tomb Chalice on 1, and then I get to make reasonable decisions from there. Probably Warboss into Warboss, but, like, Unlicensed Hearse may be relevant if we're playing against, say, Delver or something like that. Alright, Flooded Strand. Chronosphere. That probably becomes my turn 2 play now. Let's jam. Like, show me what you got over there. This requires something from just about any deck that has Flooded Strand, even if it's just, like, Brainstorm in response. Alright, basic island. Oh, it has Resolved, which I don't actually put all that much stock in, right? Because my opponent can just go, like, Plains, Prismatic Ending, and, like, this isn't a problem anymore. Alright, yep. Oh, I straight up thought they were going to cast a cantrip into it. Prismatic ending? Prismatic ending. Okay. So let's go red mana into Trinisphere. I think I just need to set myself up to make my opponent's game plan awkward from here. Um, if my opponent forces this effect and then plays like a Teferi on board, for example, they will be relatively ahead. I think my Hearse is going to be pretty slow this game. I'm probably not going to mess around with that for right now. Does tapped Shatter Skull Smashing or just Mountain? Shatter Skull Smashing can hit Planeswalkers, right? It's been a little while. Yeah. Probably save that then. Let's play a Mountain and get the War Boss going. Done a lot of self-damage, by the way. This is just 3 turns in a row of Ancient Tomb shenanigans. That Goblin token can hit in. Unlicensed Hearse potentially has a little bit of utility in this matchup for like a Snapcaster Mage. And like opponent did just show Mystic Sanctuary, right? Like, so there are things here that I need to be concerned with, but I maybe don't need to go like to town on the graveyard immediately. All right, so the next question is how many things do I attack with? Slash, do I play out the Legion War Boss before combat? Playing out the Legion War Boss before combat becomes awkward if my opponent like sets up a Terminus. This entering tapped is a pain in the ass here. The line that I maybe it doesn't matter. I think I am going to play out the other one of these. I'm also technically supposed to tap the mountain there for back to basics reasons. All right, let's yield to those. And I decide whether or not I attack in with Legion War Boss. Legion War Boss trades with a Snapcaster Mage if my opponent plays one, but if it's just like a 1-for-1 removal spell, I think I'm okay with that. Mentor a token. It's still just a lot of damage. A Shark Typhoon, absolutely. Yep, so we can trade some tokens there. Opponent goes to 12. And I think this is City of Traders. Holding this card in hand. Play Unlicensed Hearse. I think. Yeah. I think I call that good and I hold this up for like Snapcaster Prismatic Ending or something. Not too worried about opponent's graveyard, but more want to get this thing ticking up in case my opponent does wipe the board. It's pretty tough for my opponent to not die here. All right, so end of turn. Let's exile ending Brainstorm. Go to my turn. That's very good. Let's start here. This lets me know whether or not I have to worry about Swords of Plowshares this turn. Yeah, okay. So that forces that decision now. That's fine. 4 to activate. That's also fine. Ugh! I will pay the life. That's fine. Activate 1, 2, 3, 4. Ow. Yeah, okay. Good stuff. All right. So we are playing against a blue-white control deck of some kind. My moon effects are not exactly going to be fantastic here. My opponent is going to have a lot of basics. So I'd like to keep my threat density high while disrupting my opponent. I also might bring in Fiery Confluence for reach. Fiery Confluence doesn't hit Planeswalkers anymore. This is each opponent. So I still might want that. What don't I want? I probably don't want Magus of the Moon. It like Magus and Blood Moon are both medium. So what they can do is stabilize my own mana so that like my City of Traders don't disappear and so that my Ancient Tombs stop hurting me. But my Blood Moons are going to turn off Den of the Bugbear, which is really going to be good against a Terminus or Supreme Verdict or whatever. What does it look like if I do this and grab these? That is 60. Is the 2/2 body of Magus better than anything that is remaining in my deck? The answer is probably no. Like Fiery Confluence or 6 to the Dome is probably better than Magus as these games go very long. Using a 16 creatures. Okay, it's not really 16 creatures though, because like this is kind of a creature, this is kind of a creature. Oh, this is fine. Possible I'm supposed to play a couple of these to just stabilize my own mana. How is this? Turn 1 Den, turn 2 Trinisphere if I want. With a couple of threats to back it up. This is whatever. We get improved a lot by a Spirit Guide. Or a Chrome Mox, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of whatever. Let's play Dan and pass. So we're making it so that my opponent doesn't get to just like use their initial turn mana to Prismatic Ending, which is worth something. There's also a world where I don't play City of Traders next turn, and I just try to keep that mana around for longer. If I play City, like, things can be a little awkward. Like, every turn I give my opponent to play, like, the Teferian Narset type stuff is just super awkward. But if I play the City this turn, I guess I can use it for a one-turn boost. Like, use it this turn, use it next turn, discard it, make a new land drop. Yeah, actually, that's fine. Given how many lands I have, that's fine. It's not like mining optimal value or anything, but it's okay. See what my opponent is responding with. Spell Pierce. Okay, sure. This is art. Neat. I like it. And let's see if I'm just immediately facing down like a Teferi or a Narset or something. I am. With Days Undoing. Awkward. Awkward to the max. So I can't kill Narset this turn. I can do 2 damage with Shatter Skull Smashing, or I can do 1 damage with a Legion War Boss. I can't finish the job. If I can't finish the job, what do I want to do? Onboard creature probably doesn't win if my opponent has that many cards. Maybe Trinisphere does in some world. This sucks. Absolutely sucks. Let's drop Trinisphere, try to make my opponent's life a little more awkward. And now I can't really make a land drop, I don't think. I think I just have to leave these in play. No, it's possible. Now, like, Fable of the Mirror Breaker becomes, like, super awkward with Narset in play, right? The Teferi. Yeah, opponent doesn't even have to go for it here if they don't want to, although it seems pretty low cost to do so, right? Yeah. So I will play an unlicensed Hearse, which doesn't actually look all that good on this board. I have a Trinisphere. You don't get to say no. The fact that they want to say no is sort of interesting to me. Like, this card seems kind of inconsequential on board to me. Yeah. Bounce that Trinisphere out of play, I assume. Yep. I'll redeploy it in most cases. Alright, no shuffle. Let's eat this Ponder. And, like, there's some worlds where I can kill a Narset this turn. This is not one of those worlds. Redeploy Trinisphere, which feels pretty sad when my opponent is ahead on board. Okay, and they're just junking that as well. Sure. I feel like I've lost already, and it just takes a few turns for, like, Moto to realize I've won. Alright. What's next? You know, like, Ruination me? Or is it just a prismatic end? It's a prismatic ending, sure. I'll take 2 cards out of your graveyard on the way out. But I did not get good value out of that card at all. Yeah. I play Den of the Bugbear? I don't think I play Den of the Bugbear. There's, like, very little difference between 3 and 4 for me right now. So my opponent's at 17 life with 2 Planeswalkers in hand. They're going to have 5 cards in hand on their turn. And they have, like, a bunch of basics. I'm not going to get a free one off of Blood Moon here. I think I'm more or less at the point where I can concede. Yeah, I think for viewer amusement here, I am going to pack this one in. Let's move to the next game. Okay. So when I am on the play, I can consider trying to moon my opponent again. It makes my Den of the Bugbear worse, but it can potentially stop them from setting up stable mana. So I kind of think my plan is, like, Chalice into Rabblemaster Warboss and win that way most of the time. This does something resembling that. Chrome Mox Imprint, smashing Chalice on 1 into Warboss on turn 2 is pretty good with a Fiery Confluence for 6 points of damage as follow-up. Alright. Land. Chrome Mox. Imprint, Shatterskull Smashing, and attempt Chalice of the Void. Again, this can get countered or just prismatic endinged. Like, either one of those things is totally viable here. Alright, Hearse is okay. I really just want to draw another 3-mana red creature in case this one gets Force of Willed, yeah. Because my opponent playing Force of Will into Prismatic Ending on Chalice of the Void would be very bad for me, and it seems like that's what's about to happen, unfortunately. Oh, no, it's not. Fantastic. In which case, I'm going to attempt Trinisphere, and we'll try to use this to make future threats resolve. Again, situation's not super great versus Teferi, though. Alright, there is a Force of Will, pitching a Daze Undoing. An opponent can potentially just Teferi or Prismatic Ending a Chalice out of play. And I'll end up... Oh, nope, okay, cool. I'm going to play this untapped. It costs me 3 life. My opponent has shown me a Spell Pierce previously. I don't want to get hit by something random like Disenchant on this into Spell Pierce. And my life total is not super, super relevant here. So I think that's free enough that I'm good with it. Ambush Viper? No Ambush Viper. Okay, sure. Let's start chipping away at the graveyard. I'll be slow going here. Alright. Cast 6 damage spell at their face. I kind of want to use my mana. Alright. 6 damage to opponent. Attempt to cast it. Isn't great for me. Like, scoreboard shows I'm winning, right? Like, I've got the higher life total, but I don't really feel good about this. I'm just kind of nervous about this whole situation and a little unsure about like what my opponent actually has. All right, Prismatic Ending on the Chalice, sure. So maybe they had a legit handful of 1-drops that were locked for a couple of turns there. Unlicensed Hearse can hit like a truck if I am actually given the opportunity to do so, but I need to get a creature in order for that to happen. I guess this allows me to do that too, right? Yeah. All right. Let's discard that. Make some creatures. This crew 2. I will go ahead and crew it and crash in. If I eat a Swords to Plowshares, I eat a Swords to Plowshares, but I think I need to get this show on the road here. All right, opponent's at 6. I have 3 different bodies, which is nice. And answer that with Shatter Skull Smashing, which is also cool. Please don't reveal Swords to Plowshares. Yep, okay. Oh, that's really good. That's really good. So I'll cast this for X equals 1, which requires my opponent to fetch in response, and if they want to use this card this turn. Meaning they can't kill my unlicensed Hearse with this. Okay, so my opponent has let it resolve. So do I kill the Narset? I'm crewing. This is 4 damage. 4 damage is a lot, especially since like opponent has a fetch land in play. I'm going to kill the Narset. I'm not sure if that is the correct decision. Like, I have my threats spread out over a couple of different bodies here, which is nice. Kind of feels like my opponent has a Prismatic Ending if they just, like, let Chalice resolve without Swords to Plowshare one of these. But I don't actually know. There also could be something crazy like Wandering Emperor, which I guess I could finish off with a Fury. Alright, let's crew. And let's attempt 4. Yeah! Ooh, it's just working. Opponent goes to 2. I don't think I'm going to play another card. Both of these cards have quite a bit of value associated with waiting here. Okay, there is the concession. I think we're 2-2 now. Yeah, we're 2-2 now. Alright, final round opening hand, I think is going to be a keep. It allows us to Chalice of the Void on turn 1. Now, the real question is, do I just put Fury under Chrome Mox, go Fury, Mountain, Chrome Mox, so that next turn I can follow it up with a Chalice of the Void on 2? I think the answer is yes. It's a little weird, because like most of the time you want to play Spirit Guide under there, but the 1-2 punch of that is probably going to be pretty disgusting versus most decks, because it would shut off like a quick prismatic ending, for example, to take out a Chalice on 1 for 2 mana. And I'm playing Mountain here so that I do not get wastelanded on turn 1. Right, that is a Flagstones, so we are potentially playing against Death and Taxes or a Death and Taxes-like deck. In which case, Chalice on 1 into Chalice on 2 is kind of sweet. We might be playing against, like, the mono-white aggro deck list that hit the 5-0 deck list dump today. If this is bad, it can't be that bad. All right, opponent, your move, and then actually we can maybe play a Fable of the Mirror Breaker and see how that card actually feels, because it's round 5 and I haven't resolved one of those yet. Yava Maya. Oh, so we're potentially playing against a Depths deck, actually. All right, Fable time. It is story time. So we can use the middle mode of this to loot away a Chalice, which is sounding pretty good right now. Okay, yeah, that's fine. See what opponent can do. They can do like a Green Sun for a relatively substantial number here. Okay, that is a Night of the Reliquary. Good card is good. Okay, that is a Den of the Bugbear. You don't have Menace or anything, do you? No. Let's loot both of these. Yes. Discard 2. Fury. Fury is almost good. I make my land drop. This is 4 to activate. This is 5 to cast, so I'm kind of stuck right now. Actually, I'm not, am I? This is when it attacks. I'm not actually stuck. In that case, I will go ahead and send that sideways. Opponent does not block. Goes to 18. Then Fury does 4 damage on ETB. So let's go ahead and cast that. Now, like, a lot of the cards that have been sitting on the sideline in this league are actually shining. Which is cool. Like, the whole reason I wanted to play this is to see how, like, the Fable feels and to see how the Hearse feels. And now, like, I'm going to have the ability to copy Fury every turn for the rest of the game, which is cool. All right, you may absolutely Bojuka Bog me, which like does technically have some text in this matchup. Yeah, that's rough. The opponent needed to pay extra mana into that to actually remove a Chalice there. Although, honestly, I was about to hit for a very large amount of damage a couple turns in a row, so I think I was fine. I don't really know how to approach this matchup. Because, like, there's the, like, combo-y Merit Lodge side of the equation, and then, like, there's also the fair, like, Elvish Reclaimer, Knight of the Reliquary side of the equation. They require different stuff. And while my Chalice of the Voids were spectacular that time, I don't think that's really going to be the norm. It's also awkward in that, like, my Blood Moon effects are, like, awesome until they aren't. So if you're not familiar with this interaction, if you play Dark Depths while a Blood Moon is in play, it doesn't get counters on it. And then if you kill the Blood Moon with something like a Prismatic Ending or a Force of Vigor or something, that effect leaves play, and then the Dark Depths checks and says, "Oh, I don't have counters. Make 2020 Daddy monster," and you die. So like that's a thing. So there are times in playing against Merit Lodge decks where you actually don't want any Blood Moon effects, depending on what your exact 75 looks like. I think the unlicensed Hearse is going to help me keep the whole Knight of the Reliquary, Elvish Reclaimer side of the deck in check, so I probably want to board in a way that allows me to not lose to Merit Lodge, which probably involves those. So like the follow-up question from there is like, do I want Magus? Also, like, do I want Chalice? I don't want Trinisphere. I know that much. Chalice is like very awkward versus Prismatic Ending decks and also Green Sun decks because you just get to like scale those out of range. I think I'm going down on those. Like, do this, play 2 of these, and then do I play a Fiery Confluence to round things out? Okay, like it's reach. I kind of skim things real quick. This is okay. When I am on the play I might consider Chalice of the Void. How is this? Mediocre fair hand. Just like plays a turn 2 Magus of the Moon, which is fine. Not insane. I can loot through a lot of the bad stuff in the hand with Fable, and I have 8 pieces of mana acceleration that make this hand good. It may just be better to mulligan here, though. Like, Fable of the Mirror Breaker is not something that makes a hand keep worthy, and I don't know that, like, Magus of the Moon does either. Like, I don't like this as much as just, like, a double Goblin Rabble Master hand, for example. Let's fish here. How is this hand? Not great. Do I keep? Just plays turn 1 Legion War Boss and furies an opposing creature out of the way, saving another fury to do it again. This is probably on par with a lot of 5-card hands. I don't like it. I think I'm keeping it. Let's see what my opponent does. Kind of wanted them to play a 1-drop, like an Elvish Reclaimer that I could just kill with a Fury. Okay. Are we doing that? Force of Vigor or Bust for my opponent, in all likelihood there. All right. Not really great for me either. Ooh. Crop Rotation can give them a basic land. Oh, they're going for the Wasteland. Absolutely. All right. So, how embarrassing on a scale of 1 to 10 is this game of Magic going to be? Opponent has a forest, so less embarrassing for them. I just need to top deck a few more lands, and then we can get to Legion War Boss. Okay. Opponent is probably firing on all cylinders now. Like, they have a second mana source. They can Prismatic Ending away this if they want. Or Outland Liberator, absolutely. Awkward for me. If a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night. So if it becomes night, that thing just attacks and destroys target enchantment. I guess I want my Blood Moon to die so I can play Legion War Boss, oddly. Yeah. Odd. Okay. I don't want to destroy this now. Oh, wait. Do I want to destroy this now? If I Fury this now, I lose the Blood Moon. This entered untapped, so I can actually play Legion War Boss this turn. Oh, oddly, I do want to do that. That's kind of fucked up. All right. I don't like the amount of value that I give my opponent for this. Yeah, that's fine. All right, goodbye, Fury. This is just better than leaving with my opponent with that creature in play, though. Like, I take less damage. Goodbye. Hello, Legion War Boss, and 1 damage. My situation's not great. Like, an opposing Knight of the Reliquary or equivalent is pretty good against my board. Like, opponent can also, like, do combo shenanigans, too. Like, that's very real. Something is happening. A Collector Oof and an Elvish Reclaimer. Let me draw a red card. That's a red card. I'll probably just attack with everything here and then try to Fury and kill my opponent's entire board. Yeah, I think so. I can't really let them activate Elvish Reclaimer. It's just, like, too bad for me. Alright, let's make my token. Crash in. I think I have to attack in with the War Boss to make this convincing. If I want to try to get all those creatures. Or I can just attack in for 2 with just these. If my opponent blocks 1 on each, then I do get both their creatures still. Yeah, maybe I don't attack with this. Yeah, okay. I've talked myself into that. If the Collector Oof stays in play, that's actually okay for me. That's fine. Take 1. Then I will pitch cast a Fury and just junk the Elvish Reclaimer directly. And now opponent's Collector Oof sitting in play kind of works against them. And I just kind of hope that I top deck something more relevant than my opponent's top deck. Opponent says Moto Bug. Just drew it again. That's not bad. Feels like pedal to the metal now. I don't know. Like, attacking is weird. Attacking with the Legion War Boss specifically is weird because, like, taking Collector Oof out of play kind of works in my opponent's favor in terms of giving them extra mana. I turn everything sideways. Is there a world where I just kill my opponent with Fiery Confluence after drawing a red source next turn? Yes, there's a world. A weird world. It depends on how much stuff my opponent plays around. So I make my token. I'm going to ship in. I'll mentor one of these. I'm unsure whether or not it's correct for my opponent to block with the Collector Roof or not. Like they were going to. All right. Take one. And I'm hoping to draw a Dead Gone to kind of blow things open here. I think my opponent was supposed to Thespian Stage, copy a basic land, just for the record. Doesn't matter because they're like probably going to activate it again soon. Hello. I will pass the turn. All right, that's the card I wanted. Requires me to leave open my mana for a very awkward amount of time. That's okay. There's also worlds where my opponent like plays around this pretty well by just playing more patiently and wastelanding the City of Traders first. Okay, so they're just gonna go ahead and make their Merit Lodge with that timing. That's fine. So you can produce your Merit Lodge. I will gone it and get rid of it. And now my opponent is down quite a bit of mana. I can play a Magus of the Moon in an attempt to kind of stop my opponent from assembling that again. And I just hope they don't like play a Knight of the Reliquary or equivalent. Ooh. Is that better? That's probably not better. Let's play a Magus. And I guess I technically should have done this post-combat. Yeah, Swords of Plowshares is fine. I will deal my 1 point of damage. I've got an unlicensed Hearse that I can use to like deal with this and maybe prevent like knights or whatever from getting big. Oh, opponent is just gonna Merit Lodge me again. Not fantastic for me. Fire Confluence doesn't really do anything here. I guess I will play an unlicensed Hearse and hope to top deck another Dead Gone. But I think opponent just activates Elvish Reclaimer end of turn, gets another Merit Lodge, and I'm in trouble. All right, there goes the Caracas. There is the Dark Depths. And I just have to deal with another one of those, which is not great for me. All right, opponent going for it. They're just doing it now because they're going to attack for 3 anyway. That's fine. I will absolutely take that. I have 2 outs in my 45 cards, I think. And let's eat some stuff end of turn. We'll eat both Dark Depths in case they can come back. Goodbye. Come on. Come on, Goblin Rabble Master. That is not going to do it. I am dead in the air. This is not a flying car. Rabble Master doesn't do it. All right, I will concede there. And now we get another chance to do things on the play. So on the play, I can consider Chalice of the Void as something that is like nice versus crop rotation and Elvish Reclaimer. Like Fiery Confluence, as we saw there, is like not exactly fantastic. I don't mind cutting one of those for a Chalice, and the question is, like, do I want more beyond that? I could go down, like, some Fury or Fable of the Mirrorbreaker or something. I think I want my Moon effects, especially on the play. Like, the Green Suns and Prismatic Endings both being such a good answer to Chalice is just, like, really awkward. I think I'm gonna go down some Fables. Like, go down 2 Fables, go down 1 Fury, play 3 Chalices on the play. That's okay. No. This plays turn 1 Chalice, but, like, does not have a reasonable follow-up, and, like, the mana is very awkward with this hand. Like, I can go Spirit Guide, Shatter Skull Smashing, Chalice on 1, and then I can't, like, hardcast this Fury on turn 2 or anything. I think I'm just gonna try to find something more stable. This qualifies. I will be keeping this hand, and I have to decide what goes back. My turn 1 is Mountain Spirit Guide Chalice. My turn 2 is City Rabble Master. And so the question is, like, do I want Fury or Hearse as backup? I think I want Hearse, and I'll pitch Fury. All right. Here is to hoping that this Chalice is actually good. There's some worlds where I don't even buy a turn with this, where my opponent just opens up on, like, a Mox Diamond, land, and Prismatic Ending. But, like, that's a world that exists. Don't do it. Damn it. It's junking a Dark Depths. Yep, that is exactly the world that I was talking about. Ancient Tomb fine? Ancient Tomb's probably fine. Alright. We're playing this card and, getting in there. Like, I'm hoping that I can be aggressive, but opponent probably has a decent number of draws that are just, like, really good against what I have going on here. Yeah, that's quite nice. That is also quite nice, though. This curves out pretty well now. Alright. Alright, there's a War Boss. There's a Hearse. Yield to that. Crash in for 2. I can keep a lot of cards out of my opponent's graveyard. Or, well, not like... I can take a lot of cards out of my opponent's graveyard, keeping Knight of the Reliquary and such in check. But I'm going to be bad against my opponent assembling the combo. I don't have anything that interacts with their lands or a Merit Lodge. Yeah, there's a Knight. So I can shrink that down, but like if that thing gets an activation and produces a Merit Lodge, I'm not really okay. All right. These goblins? No, these are spirits. I think I'm going to be in a situation where I'm looking for a dead gone next turn. I might be able to just kill my opponent next turn as well. Like, that is a real thing. All right, Legion War Boss triggers. Earn a shit ton of creatures sideways. Mentor onto a goblin, I guess. My opponent can soak up 1 point of damage here, which puts them to 9. And see what they can do. Slash see what I top deck. So assuming one thing gets blocked, got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, there is also this unlicensed Hearse, which can attack as well. So this tight. Opponent really needs another body, right? So assuming... Or wait, do I need to draw a creature in order to do this? So I've got 2. Assuming... Alright, never mind. You know what? We can turn creatures sideways and find out. I'm in that situation. Alright. Junk 2 cards from graveyard. Oh god, that was one of my worst draws. Okay. So if I crew 2, this thing gets blocked by either Merit Lodge or Knight. My opponent takes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I die, I believe. But my opponent doesn't know what I have. But I guess they just like block with Knight and then I die to Merit Lodge, right? Yeah, so I guess I just crew and spread out over the greatest number of creatures and see what happens. Alright. War Boss triggers. Turn sideways. Mentor onto some creature. Floating some mana. Gonna be a Merit Lodge. Yep. So they do the thing. Results in them getting a 20/20. And I'm going to be just short here. They block the 4/4. And they go to 2. And then I die on the backswing. I needed any creature so that I could crew with a different body. So I needed any creature there. Any creature, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Yeah. Or a Dead Gone as well. Fiery Confluences weren't boarded in, so that wasn't an out. That's a little disappointing. We end up with a 2-3 league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Unlicensed Hearse seems really good. This is a card that has a lot of potential. 3 felt like too many. Like, I like the card, but it does require you to have other things in order to be good. If I was going to play 3, I might want one of them in the sideboard. I cannot really evaluate Fable of the Mirror Breaker well based on this league. It's a reasonable card that I'm not really all that excited about based on my experiences this league. The ability to chain together copies of something like Fury is absolutely something that's appealing. But a lot of times, like, the game is over before you can actually, like, hardcast something like a Fury, right? So, like, in this league, I maybe hardcast 1 Fury. Like, a lot of the times, like, your games are decided by your opening plays in, like, turns 1 through 4, and Fury is frequently a turn 5 play, unless, like, you're not getting wastelanded or you have acceleration of some kind. Like, the core of what is making this deck good is the stuff that has made the deck good for years, right? Like, the unlicensed Hearse is a nice addition to this deck. I don't think Fable of the Mirror Breaker is putting this deck over the top in any capacity. Like, the fact that, like, this can discard cards and put things into your own graveyard to grow your Hearse is kind of cool. Um, but, like, is this better than, say, a Chandra Awakened Inferno or a Karn or any of the other flex slots that I've seen play in the past? Like, a lot of the decks are playing it right now, so, like, there's probably something to it, but it did not look impressive in this league. Like, we made one treasure token off of this, and I think we looted with it once. Yeah, so, like, overall positive thoughts on the deck list. This feels like a good deck list. Um, yeah, I think that's really all that I have to say. Like, thumbs up from me. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on your way out. It helps out a lot. If you want to try out this deck list or you want to get one of your own decks on the channel, that information is available in the video description. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!